Alright guys, so we are roughly a little bit more than a month away from Granblue Fantasy Endless Ragnarok. There's going to probably be a lot of new players jumping into the game for the first time, whether they just hear about the game for the first time, whether with the hype of the expansion, whether they're, jumping in for the first time on Nintendo Switch 2, or, just whatever the case. I just want to make a little beginner's guide to teach some of you new guys the ropes and stuff like that, and hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, drop a like and consider subscribing. But gamers and gamettes, what is going on? My name is Tanek027 and welcome back to another video. And guys, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Granblue Fantasy Endless Ragnarok. However, you want to stay updated on all things Granblue Fantasy, make sure you're liking today's video, subscribing to the channel if you are new, and let's go ahead and get on into today's topic. So in today's video, I want to give you guys a brief beginner's guide and just tell you what you should be focusing on when you first start playing Granblue Fantasy Relink, which will be titled Endless Ragnarok by the time the expansion gets here. Now, the best beginner tip I can give you for this game is focus on beating the campaign first. And especially, if you're new to the game and you're just, playing through a lot of the content for the first time, I'm going to say focus on completing the full version of the game's story and the Endless Ragnarok expansion. Don't focus too much on multiplayer, a lot of the side stuff, a lot of the hardcore endgame content and all that. Do some of it in the background. Like, let's say you're struggling in the story a little bit and things like that, and you need some levels. Yeah, sure, run some of those missions, boost yourself, get yourself some XP, get some material drops, to get your weapons better. But for the most part, playing through the campaign will get you a lot of the stuff that you need, to play through the campaign. But long story short, how Granblue Fantasy works is it's basically like a Monster Hunter and action RPG hybrid kind of deal. So your characters have a lot of base stats and things going on. Your character's gear is mostly just going to be coming down to weapons and sigils that you get. These sigils will add different buffs and stat traits and stuff like that to your character. Like, for example, the sigil heroes I have, it's clear as day what they do. Increases attack power and increases health. It's real simple stuff like that. The better your sigils are, the more they're going to increase your character's overall power level and stuff like that. Another thing you want to focus on are your masteries. Now, this is basically the skill tree for all of your characters. Make sure you are focusing on the 4 main characters you use in the game evenly, especially when you are trying to work your way through the main story of the game. Because even though it's just, pretty simple single player content, some of it can be a little challenging. So, you do want to level yourself and get yourself prepared accordingly. Because like I've said in previous videos, a lot of these boss fights, especially towards, the latter end of the game, they tend to get very mechanic heavy. And even if your characters are really powerful, if you forget to dodge a certain AoE or something like that that's meant to wipe the party, or you fail a DPS check that is meant to wipe the party, I don't care how strong you are, your party is going to get wiped. That's because that's what that mechanic is meant to do. So, make sure you are equipping yourself accordingly, even though, a lot of the single player storyline content tends to be easier. Also, obviously, if you're any RPG player, focus hard on your side quests. It's easy, extra materials, extra XP and stuff for your character. Now, your characters are going to have one big specific stat. Obviously, you have your health, your character's attack power, defense, and all that stuff. But do you guys see this little gold number right here? This is basically your character's power level. If you're an MMO player, you'll probably know this as gear score. The only thing different with this game is it works kind of like how things work in mobile games instead of, just like a typical MMORPG. So how like in an MMO you'll have your gear score and it's solely based off of your gear. Like when you're playing Final Fantasy 14, materia doesn't affect your gear score, for example, for things like that. Well, with this power level, everything you do affects it. The weapon you have, the sigils you have, how high your character is leveled, how much you've put into their skill tree, all of that stuff accumulates into your character's overall power level. So the more you do to your character, the more powerful they get. And as you guys will see, when you come here and look at certain certain missions and stuff like that, they're all going to have recommended power levels. As you guys can see, this one here is recommended 200, 300, 600, 1400, etc., etc. The farther you go on, the higher the recommended power levels are going to get, etc., etc. As of right now, the game's level cap is currently 100. I don't know or remember if that's going to increase in the Endless Ragnarok expansion. I would assume it probably will, but I could be wrong about that. So when that's here, feel free to correct me down in the comments below. But when you start the game, you're going to be in a little central hub that looks like this. Now, I'm very late into the campaign, so yours won't be dark like this. It'll look like this, but it'll just be daylight outside. And once you get past the area I'm in, it'll mainly be daylight. It is dark like this for a very brief period. Now, disclaimer, it could get dark again like this in the expansion or look weird or different in the expansion. I don't know. We haven't played the expansion yet, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. But right here is your quest counter. You're going to have, different NPCs all around the area, obviously, that can help you, work on your weapons. You got your blacksmith over here. Like I was saying, in previous videos, if you've ever played Monster Hunter before, you know the deal. There's going to be one NPC, that's your quest NPC. There's going to be one, that does your weapons. There's going to be another one where you can buy items. There's another one where you can trade and sell things, etc., etc., etc. And then you have, little NPCs around here that'll give you side quests to take on along with your missions. Another thing while you're running through your campaign, make sure you are picking up all the side quests you can and knocking them out. Because a majority of the time, a lot of the side quest objectives, they align with things that you're doing in there anyway. So like, let's say, you have a mission where you have to go hunt down a certain boss. Well, you'll probably get a side quest that says, hey, kill 6 enemies in this area. You're already going to that area to go fight that boss anyway. So just clear them out, get yourself some extra XP materials and goodies and all of that fun stuff. Now, one other tip I want to give you guys before we wrap this up here is all the characters are basically a different class. This is one thing I want you to know. You're going to get character tokens and stuff like that as you go throughout the game. You don't have to pay for the characters or anything like that. Everyone that is in this game, whether they are added through DLC or whether they're just in the base game, they are all unlocked through progression. As you play through the campaign, you're going to unlock special characters. As you do side multiplayer missions, you're going to unlock special characters. They're all unlocked through the campaign. When you're playing the campaign, you can take up to 4 with you. I'm in a special spot right now where they add a certain character. That's why you guys will see me having only 3 right now, but you can take 4 of these characters with you. And, like I said, there's a big group of them. There's even more you can unlock. These aren't even all of them. Like, I don't even have all the characters actually unlocked yet, but they all have different play styles and different types. The best thing to do is just check out the characters. What I would say is experiment with them throughout the campaign. Like, unlock them in the campaign, bring them in your party, see how they work and stuff like that, and be like, ooh, is that a play style I would like? And then, try and base yourself, off of what character you'd want to main and stuff like that for there. Or, if you're somebody who wants to play all kinds of different roles and types, and that's your thing, go level them all, unlock them all, knock yourself out. But overall, guys, like I was saying before, the game is basically a pretty, like beefed up version of Monster Hunter. So your main 3 pieces of advice that I'm going to give you guys here are real simple. Number 1, finish your campaign. Focus mainly on your main quest and any little side quests you'll see along the way. Once you finally finish the campaign, then try and focus more into multiplayer and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm not saying avoid multiplayer while you're playing the campaign and stuff. Feel free to use those missions for boosting, leveling your weapons and stuff like that. Because like I said, some campaign missions can be challenging. But just, focus the main campaign and then focus more on the online portion and, those special missions and stuff like that, and a lot of endgame things once you finish the main story. And the reason I recommend that is because all that stuff unlocks after you finish the main story of the game. Because when you're trying to do it while you're playing the main story, you'll keep running into barriers, different thresholds. You'll be jumping back and forth between the campaign and the multiplayer. It can get a little tedious. If you're just somebody who just wants to get in there, grind, start working on your weapons and stuff like that. Now, I'll make a more advanced endgame guide probably after Endless Ragnarok releases, because I don't want to make one now and then a lot of that stuff become outdated as soon as Endless Ragnarok does release, because Endless Ragnarok's endgame will be the game's new true endgame, so we'll wait till that comes out before we make a true guide on the endgame. But anyway, guys, if this beginner guide helped you, smash that like. Also, if you're a veteran player and you want to leave some more tips or anything that I may have missed that you think a beginner should know, leave it down in the video comments. I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace out. Have a good one.